everybody? It's your pals, Ben and Juice. And today we are joined by our very special guest, G. G is a game developer here out of Canada, and we're going to learn all things some game development behind the scenes. We're really excited to have her here. She's worked on all sorts of projects, with one of her big ones being Homeworld 3. G, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We're really excited. You're our first special guest here on No
Oh.
Continues. So
I didn't know
really
that.
yeah, first special guest.
Wow,
We're really
I'm honored.
excited. We have lots of questions, some tough, hard-hitting questions. I know Ben and I are really excited to get into this. So we really appreciate you being here. So let's start at the beginning. Something we want to know. We want to know everything. So just for yourself, how did you get into gaming, and what was, sort of your first gaming experiences that made you go like, yeah, I think this is a hobby I want to get into?
Well, actually, it was kind of force-fed to me. So I have a brother. It's just me and him, and he's 9 years older than I am, basically exactly to the day. And like my closest cousins, we kind of all like live in the same area growing up. They're also a lot older than I am. So I was forced to sit in front of like the CRTV and
The
like
classic.
watch my brother play
classic, yeah.
games at like the great wonderful age of like 4 years old onward. And my brother still to this day is really into games. He's a total collector. So partially, I guess I could thank him for like exposing me to some of the classics. So I don't know, like I guess that's like my first gaming experience. I didn't play a lot of games growing up because my brother wouldn't let me touch his consoles, but I witnessed
course.
gaming, you know.
That's a classic.
That's such a classic. I was the older brother, so
I was the youngest.
Ben, I'm pretty sure we're the younger brother, right?
Yeah, I was the Benjamin of my family. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, I just kind of like was exposed to gaming that way, and because he's 9 years older than I am, I kind of had like this like niche internet like understanding of games for like my age group. Not to like sound like
you were playing
I'm
older
special or
games
anything.
technically.
Yeah, so like meeting people like my age at school, or like even in my adulthood, I'll get like people saying like they don't know what game I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
like
get that. Yeah,
like growing up, I played like a lot of older games. Like I played Sega, played a lot of Sonic on there. My favorite game growing up for a while was Kirby's Dream Land 3.
Go to game.
Yeah, on the Nintendo. I love that game. My partner recently got a Switch a couple years ago, so I discovered you can play old games on the Switch. So I replayed it, and I was like, damn, this shit still holds up.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Still really good. Yeah, not too fond of the art style, but other than that, I love Kirby. It's good. It's good.
It's aged well.
Like the paint. I like the paint style, right? It kind of has that paintbrush look to it.
The only thing I think I don't like is the fact that whenever you get power up, you don't transform in a way. Like you just stay the same, in my opinion.
Yeah, you just stay the same, right?
Yeah, that's what I don't like about the game. Other than that, I think it's a fantastic game. Like it's really good.
You wish there was like more player-facing feedback for when you had like a certain power. Besides the UI, like the UI tells you what you have.
Yeah, but it's like Kirby
what about
64,
your animal buddies, Ben? Don't you like the animals?
No, but I've played Dreamland 3 on Game Boy. That's the thing. For me, I was a Game Boy kid.
Oh,
yeah. That's how I got introduced by the little pals with you. But other than that, like, I don't know. It's slow. It's slower. It's not my... I love it. It's a good game, but it's not...
It's okay. You're just my biggest offer, Eddie. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Not bad.
I had the blue like Game Boy Advance that didn't have the backlighting, like the one that was shaped.
Yeah. The design of this
one that I had.
Like it's so comfortable in the hand. Like it's like
so
oval
comfortable
in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It was a good one.
Yeah. All right. So next question is, when did you know you wanted to be involved with games, and what is your specific skills? Are you working on music, art direction, or environments, or anything? It doesn't matter. It's just in general.
To like answer the first bit about that is like I didn't really know I wanted to get into games like really ever until the opportunity like arose, because I don't think anyone thinks about games, and they're like, yeah, this is a
Mm.
career. Like it's just like this piece of media that you consume, and they just like it's a game. It magically appears on the shelves at like EB Games, and you
Yeah.
go pick it up, or you on a Steam, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, what's new? No one's making money off of these, right? Like this
Yeah.
can't be like an industry that has employees that's like fully functioning. So the way that I like even thought about making games in the first place was actually I was working at Cactus Club, which is like I'm pretty sure it's like a BC only chain, or there might be some locations in Ontario. Anyway,
I honestly
it's
don't
a
know what it
restaurant.
is, so
It's a restaurant. It's a Canadian restaurant, and I was working there, and then I had met a few people who went to this school called Vancouver Film School, based out of Vancouver, and one of them started going to school for. Well, actually, one of them was going to school for 3D animation, and I was like, that's totally something that I think I could do. Like, I mean, I like doing art.
Yeah.
I'm not that bad at drawing and stuff, so that like that really interested me. And then I found out that they actually had a game design course, and so I applied, got in, and then that was kind of like the first steps of like realizing this is actually like a viable career.
Yeah.
And what I do in games, so I am a systems game designer, so I work on the gameplay side of things. To compare it to like something maybe like everyone here has played, Mario Kart.
Yeah.
My role, if I was working on Mario Kart, would be like the person who comes up with the different cars, and then like you can choose like the different attachments you want to add to your car, and they have different stats. That would be like my job as a systems designer, would basically design those different attachments and then what their values are and how they like increase the build of the vehicle. Which is like the really oversimplified version of me explaining my job, because it's really hard to describe otherwise, but that's the best way I can like create a visual.
If you can answer this, can you describe what you did in your most recent game that you did? Kind of, in a way. If you can't, it's okay, but I just want to know. I'm curious about this.
So on Homeworld 3, it's a real-time strategy game. For those of you who don't know, I worked I did like what I like to call crumb work. I kind of joined later on in the development cycle of that game, so there wasn't like that much room to like come up with new concepts and ideas and iterate off of them. So I kind of was helping manage some of like the work from prior designers that I had basically come on and to help with. And so with that, I was working on a lot of the different spaceships. One of the things that like I championed for a while was we have this thing called military design in Homeworld. Basically, what that means is like when you bandbox select ships, you probably don't want your passive ships to be a part of that bandbox and send them into battle by accident because they have no defense. So I came up with the concepts of like when you bandbox over a bunch of ships, you don't actually include your passive ships. So like in that case, it's like the resource collectors, because they're just gonna fucking die in battle, right? So like,
of course,
I kind of did some of that work, and then I also was working on the co-op mode that Homeworld 3 has. I think it's called War Games, player facing. And so I actually ended up doing like some level design, some like progression mission design kind of there, like more like quest sort of. It's like we were coming up with like concepts of like different objectives. So I did a lot of that, some encounter design as well in there. I don't know, I kind of touched a lot of different parts of
things,
the development pipeline on Homeworld 3, because like I said, it was kind of later on in development, so I was kind of helping bridge some gaps of where they needed additional support before launch.
That's nice. It's nice. So much
cool.
things like what I realized with game design is like there's so many people involved. Like in my mind, I'm just like, oh, there's 3 people that are working on the game, but no, like there's so many things that people needs to be working on in order to make it I can't speak, but a game in a way, something that's playable. Yeah, cohesive game. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's interesting to hear.
That's really like Ben said, that I think a lot of people don't realize how many layers there are to a game development or a company in that sense. With the education, how long did that take for you? Is it only specific to BC or anywhere that like what did the education look like for you? How long did you find that you were in school for?
Yeah, so there's like no proper way to get into gaming. I know lots of people who are like self-taught, have like
Mhm.
just done their own research and
Mhm.
then landed a first job. And that's the most vital part about a career in games, is to have like evidence that you know what you're doing. So the moment you land your first job or you launch your first game, you have this portfolio essentially of expertise behind you, and that is the most pivotal part of your career. So like if you don't go to school for games and you somehow manage to do either of those things,
Mm.
you can continue a career in games, of course.
Yeah.
But education specifically, like I went to VFS. It's a 1-year intensive course. I was in class like for 12, 15 hours a day, Monday to Friday.
Wow.
Whoa.
It was a condensed course, so that meant like a year after we were able to enter like the gaming sphere and find jobs. But there's also like other schools that do like proper bachelor's degrees where you can like major in game development. I have like a couple development friends who like came from like Ontario, for example, and I know one of them did like a 4-year bachelor's and they like majored in game design.
Would you say,
If you're
sorry, I have a second question,
Yeah,
Jad.
go
Would
for
you
it.
say like your school helps you like get a better job at game design, or it's like, is it like known to be good for game design and people are like recruiting from this school, or it's just like you just got lucky in a way? Because it looks like it's kind of a hard
So
a hard
that's
place to get
actually-
into. Yeah.
That's actually a really interesting question. And I think like my answer is going to be quite specific to the school that I
Mhm.
went to. Vancouver Film School is like really well known
Yeah.
in the game design
Yeah.
circle and networking if you live in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah.
It's even crazy. Like you could go to other places in the world in North America and you will find other VFS alumni, and it becomes this networking tool where you're automatically connected to people.
That's cool.
Because they have this long history of being a school for game development. Like my boss at BBI, my game director, he went to VFS for game design, and he was
Hmm.
one of the first classes. If you walk anywhere into a networking space in Vancouver to do with games, you're gonna meet like at least 50% of the people there
Yeah.
have gone to VFS.
course.
So specifically for VFS, I think yes, like I did get more opportunity by going to that school. I'm not like an ambassador for them by the way. I just I really do
it's
believe
just-
that like
No.
There are schools like that, honestly. Like there are schools like that. My school was really good, well known for networking, like
yeah.
IT networking. So like
Yeah. So, they have like basically like this rapport in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Of like being a spot that a lot of people go through for essentially like the training and the skills in order to enter gaming and be prepared for it. So yes, it did help me going to VFS because like I said, like I live in the Lower Mainland. This is, where I've lived after school, and it's helped me connect with people. I can go to like any networking space and I will meet someone that knows someone that I know, which is also another reason why it's so important to build networks, because
yeah,
the gaming industry is so small. Like I know it seems like it's big, but like for example, my current director, he's based in LA, and he ran into someone from the C-suite of my last company based in Vancouver just like this last week. And he was
That's
like,
nice.
ran into this guy that you knew at your last company. He said he had good things to say about you, which is crazy because like it's like a 3-hour flight from
Yeah.
here to there, but people run into each other and like your name will be brought up, and then you also have like you have to be a good person to work in games because
Yeah.
people will know, like
Yeah,
your reputation will follow you. So, going through VFS specifically, yes, it did help me get a job, but also you gotta maintain a good
I
background.
presume that it helps you to like get the skill necessary to do your job. Like it looks like it's like a known school for game design, so like it's not just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not just because you went to that school that you have a job. It's because like it gave you the tool that you needed to actually like it's a renowned
it's a
school.
leg up for sure.
Exactly,
It's a bonus
yeah.
point.
Exactly. That's cool.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that's my turn. My bad. What? So next question is, what is it like working in a gaming environment, and have you ever experienced crunch? Like.
So no, actually.
No.
Oh.
I
Okay.
have not experienced crunch. My
Okay.
last company, Blackbird Interactive, operated on a 4-day work week. So actually I experienced
That's
the
so sick.
opposite
That's
There
so
were
nice.
some days where I did have to work on a Friday, but they gave you that time back in vacation hours.
That's
So,
cool. It's really cool.
yes, technically sometimes I did have to work on a Friday when our work week was 4 days,
Yeah.
but it was a 4-day work week and it wasn't 12-hour days. It was 4 days a week, 8 hours a day. So we're working 32 hours a week, which, by the way, anyone from any tech company is listening to this, you have to implement a 4-day work week. I'm so sorry. Like, it is
Yes.
just the best thing
Like,
ever.
Preach.
I can tell you
Yeah.
for a fact that if you don't implement a 4-day week, you'll get burnt out. I'm telling you guys. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
nobody works on
seriously.
Fridays. I used to be able to see what everyone was doing. Nobody works on Fridays. Nobody. So just letting you know out there, like nobody.
No, I'm a big advocate for this
Yeah.
because going from a 4-day work week back to a regular
Yeah.
5-day work week was actually the biggest adjustment. It still
Yeah.
is an adjustment
Yeah,
somehow.
of course.
And it's crazy because I feel like I maintained momentum a lot more on a 4-day work week, and I feel like
Yeah.
my general average per day of productivity was higher.
Yes.
Because like honestly, no one's working for the first no one's doing proper work where they're like heads really in it for the first 3 hours on Monday and for the last 3 hours on Friday. Like people are checked out until Monday
Mhm.
afternoon, and people are checked out after Friday
Yeah.
afternoon. You know,
Yeah.
like it's better, and you come back from the 3-day weekend that you have every week fully refreshed for Monday.
You
So,
feel better, you know? Like
yeah,
2
you
days
just
is not
feel so
enough.
good.
After 2 days, you're just like, I'm just starting to enjoy myself. But like 3 days, you're
Mhm.
like, I've enjoyed myself enough. I can go back to work. No, I'm 100% with you on that. Like, I hate 5-day work day.
I know.
for
I
work
guess
week,
like
whatever.
the most crunch I've done though is like at VFS. Like
Hmm.
when we were doing our like capstone final projects.
Yeah.
There were like some nights that we would be there at like 9 a.m. and then I would like go home at 1 in the morning.
wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. So
'Cause-
you weren't able to
'cause-
work when you were at your school, right? Like it's just
Well,
school, and nothing
Yeah,
else.
exactly. Yeah. I put myself in a lot of debt to be there, but it was worth it. Worth it in the end. Yeah.
But
For
to follow
sure.
up on Ben's question before I jump into something else, what did you find? What do you find the environment typically is like when it comes to gaming development environments? Like, have you been like just had really good experiences? Do you know people that have had rougher experiences? What has your experience been in like that kind of environment?
Like you mean like workplace stuff? So
Yeah, like do you find that there's like is a lot of synergy and teamwork, or do you find that you're working a lot more independently with a lot of pressure? I guess it all depends on who like different spots, I guess, hey.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of like a loaded question. It's going to be different for everyone, of course, and
Yeah.
depending on what project you're on or like what phase of the project you're in. But for me, like overall, like I really, in general, the consensus for me is I've enjoyed working in games. There's been like bad experiences for sure, like anybody has with any job,
yeah.
you know.
Mm.
But overall, I think it's been good. Like, for me, I don't think I've really experienced anything like super groundbreakingly bad. You know?
That's cool. That's
Um,
really good actually,
Yeah, it's good,
because like
though.
corporate workspace sometimes can be very harsh towards like individuals. So like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, of course there's going to be conflict, you know,
Yeah.
especially working like on a creative product like a video game, there's going to be conflicting opinions, but as a designer specifically, you kind of need to like know what feedback you take and what feedback you smile and nod to and don't apply to your own design.
yeah.
But like that is the most challenging part is managing multiple opinions on a creative
Mm.
product. And that's relevant to like basically any creative industry though.
Would you say
I don't think that's exclusive to games at all.
would you say like sometimes it like hinders the development of a game where there's too many opinions on something and just like there's no work getting done in a way?
Yeah, I think that's relevant to basically any job though. If you have too
Yeah.
many people in the kitchen, you're not cooking anything.
No,
You're
no,
just
I know, but
arguing
I
who should get out.
I'm just curious on how the structure is. Like is it like something that happens often, or the structure that is in place does not kind of allow you to get stuck on some like different ideas and just like having, cuz I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think that's gonna happen like in AAA, indie, you know, even on personal projects that you're making with your friends. Like you're absolutely gonna spend a lot of time talking about concepts and ideas and then trying to iron things out. And sometimes you find a solution, you find out the solution doesn't work and it's not cohesive with other design. So you have to go back to the drawing board and then you have to talk it out again. And the more people that you have in the room, the longer the conversation's going to take and there's going to be more things to consider. So yeah, it can hinder development, but also I think it's still a really important part of the process because there are some things that like you wouldn't even have thought of ever until someone brings it up and you're like, oh my god, that was like actually really important to consider.
yeah.
So yes, does it slow down development in some ways? You know, if you're not working in engine on the game, sure, like are you really contributing? But like on paper, it still work, you
It
know.
still works.
It's still necessary discussions to have.
Good.
Interesting. So just kind of pivoting off that, I think Ben and I are gonna like kind of be like two sides of the coin. I'll start with the more positive side. What is like the part you love the most about making games? Is it just specifically the artistic side, or is there something that you really love about it that I'm not thinking of?
Well, the flexibility is awesome. So I'm going to talk a bit about like personal like work-life balance things.
Yeah.
So being able to work in a creative industry that's, you know, kind of moving in a more progressive way means that people are really understanding about flexibility. And as someone who came from working in restaurants where you got like a 15-minute unpaid break, even if you're working 12 hours, and I wore heels every day, clocked like 20K steps every shift, like that culture is so different from, you know, working in tech in general. Like if you have a doctor's appointment, you don't have to call anyone. You just update your Slack and you're like, I'm going to be gone for the next 2 hours. And then you go do your thing and you come back to your desk and you do the rest of your workday. If I have therapy in the middle of, you know, the workday, I can go do that. If I have to go to the pharmacy and pick up like some medication or something, I can go do that. Like I'm not chained to my desk. Like obviously, like as long as you get your work done, that's like really all that matters at the end of the workday. So the flexibility is super nice. And I didn't experience that working in hospitality before games.
Yeah.
So I think that is like a really wonderful part about working in a creative industry. In general though, about like the actual day-to-day work life, I really like the stuff that I do. I like that the arguments I have are about games. You know? Like
Yeah, that's cool.
it's really not that deep and we're just in this meeting and we're arguing about a design and it's totally cool because we're talking about a game and that's super great.
Yeah.
Sometimes do I get a little frustrated? Of course. We all do. But at the end of the day, it's a game and we want the game to be really good and we're all on the same side, right? So the fact that like my biggest problem in my workday is making a video game doesn't really seem like it's a problem.
Yeah, it's not that, yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Not
That's
the
really
end
cool.
of the world.
Yeah. You're not. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
And what would you say is a negative to making games? Like what's the other way around?
Is there even a negative?
Is there a negative?
Yeah.
There can.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you're a fucking nerd, so that's kind of embarrassing.
I mean, we all are, so.
But on the other side of things, back to work-life balance, I don't have to commute. For my current company is a fully remote company. They're based out of the US. I live in Vancouver. That would be a horrible commute to make every day. So I don't, obviously.
It would.
So I work remotely and I have 2 jobs. So I work full-time as a systems game designer, 9 to 5, and then part-time, like a couple days out of the week, I work from 6 to 9 teaching game design as well, which is also remote. So is it super nice that I don't have to commute to work every morning and I get to save like however many hours per week on transit or in traffic? Yeah, that's awesome. But I don't have the willpower to touch grass unless I have to.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
Which is really not great. Like there's some of my coworkers who like go for a run on their lunch break, or you know, one of my coworkers just like eats out every lunch. We lease his house.
I would stay
and he
home.
goes, Yeah, no, there's like weeks where like I literally have not seen the sun in like 6 days, and then I realize that on the weekends come, and I'm like, "Oh,
Like, I
I
gotta
guess I
go out a
should go
little bit, you
outside."
know? Yeah.
And then that kind of bleeds into like just like my personal life in general. I feel like I've slowly started developing like symptoms of agoraphobia,
What you-
which is crazy. Agoraphobia is like the fear of going outside.
I, I mean,
It's actually
are you afraid of being
crazy.
outside, or you're just lazy? That's the thing.
No, I don't think it's laziness because I
Okay.
like going outside, but for some reason, I have like developed this like anxiety around leaving my
Oh,
house.
okay. So it's anxiety. Okay, I thought it was just like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to go outside anymore because I feel comfortable at home.
No.
Oh,
Have you guys
Well,
ever
my home
seen?
is comfortable, but
yeah, yeah, of course.
Have you guys ever seen The Benchwarmers? It's like
no.
It's a movie about baseball. Oh man, dang, deep cut. But there's a guy with that phobia,
Hmm.
and every time he goes outside, he has to have like a little sword with him. So shout out to all
That
our No
is-
Continues listeners
Yeah.
who are
That is
who
so
listen
funny.
Uh,
to watch
So-
Benchwarmers.
but is it something like you've always been that way, but you've kind of
No.
mastered? Just like it developed it like just like this, you know?
Before games, I
Yeah.
mean, like even like my first like 6 months working in games, I would walk everywhere. You know, if I had a day off, I'd go to a coffee shop and read, or like go see friends, go to a park,
Okay.
and just like walk around a lot. And I don't know what it is, but in the last like year or so, I think also a part of this though is like my last place before this current place I'm living in was kind of like a little bit suburban in the lower mainland. Like it was still like in a city, but it was like the suburbs. I had to walk like 20 minutes to a train
Yeah.
station, which doesn't sound really far, but like
Oh, it
kind of
is.
is far,
Yeah.
you know? So, and it wasn't like a super walkable neighborhood. And that's something that's like really important to me. So now I live in a walkable neighborhood again, but I think I've kind of like developed that anxiety about leaving my house because I'm like at my desk for so long that like when I finally get off my desk, you know, like what
You're
do I
like,
do with my life?
No, I get it. No, I get it.
Yeah. So that's like the negative side of like working remotely,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
There's some ups and downs of working remotely. Yeah. Whenever I
Yeah.
used to work remote, I would never go out of my house, like my apartment, because I would
Yeah.
just go outside and then go play video games on the same monitor that I was
Yeah.
working 8 hours a day. That like I've
That's literally what
realized.
I do.
Yeah, I've realized, like, especially doing content creation these days, sometimes I just have to go out of my little space. I'd rather go
Yeah.
to a coffee. I don't do it, but like go to a coffee shop or go somewhere else just to change your mind in a way. Because sometimes, like, when you stay on your desk, you keep getting into like the same ideas, and you keep getting in a loop and stuff, and just like getting
Yeah.
out of your house or getting out, it just helps just clear your mind in a way. So for me,
Mhm.
I don't. That
Yeah,
works.
I kind of envy the people who work in like marketing.
Mm,
It doesn't require like a really beefy computer, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. No, I get it.
Because then you can just like go work in like your apartment building's like cooperative like meeting room or whatever, or you can like go to a coffee shop and plug your
Mm.
laptop in and like do your little thing.
But
But then for game development, I can't take my fucking computer.
it,
in my
depends.
office.
It depends. It depends. I look. It can be an expense on your companies. Like, if they have the budget, you can make the idea of just, hey, I need sometimes to go out of my house. I used to do it. Like, I used to be in charge of IT, so I used to expense some stuff to employees that just wanted to go out to coffee shops or stuff like that. So I don't know. That could be an idea.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The joys of remote work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm not ungrateful for it. There's some downsides and there are some good sides to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like every job, right?
Hmm.
So we're kind of like going maybe just beyond just like your personal experiences. Ben and I have talked about in a couple episodes of, we've only, like I said, this is only our 10th episode of No Continues. But in that time, we've already talked a couple times about how we see layoffs quite frequently. And this has definitely been a big thing, I would say, the last 2 years. There's been a really big uprise in this. Ben and I have we've been of the mindset that we feel like it's probably due specifically to poor management and maybe poor decisions by higher ups. We never really put this on the game developers at all or anything like that. Is it that simple that we feel that it's a higher up issue, or is there something that we're missing that maybe you feel like something else is at play when it comes to all these video game layoffs that we see?
It's really complicated. It is because it's totally a different reason for every studio that's experienced layoffs, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure some studios are like probably poorly managed their finances, but I'm also
Yeah.
sure there's a ton of studios that really didn't want to have to do this to their employees, right? I mean, I'm sure that like some of them have compassion, but also it is a bad look on a company's part to shed
Yeah.
employees. It's never like the first option, right? It's always the last thing that they got to do. And you know, depending on what company it is, if they don't lay people off, you know, maybe the entire company is at risk of closing. And at that point, you lose your entire staff and not just a select few
Yeah.
in order to make, you know, better financial, I guess, bandwidth that goes longer ways. I don't know. I like the reason why that you and I even know each other, Juice, is because I made a video about this on my TikTok when
Yeah.
I was going through and experiencing just like I was losing my job. I was on a contract at my last studio. So technically I wasn't laid off. I've never claimed to be laid off, but they didn't renew me, and my renewal end date was the same end date as people who
Got laid off.
got laid off. So like the reason why I'm gonna chalk it down to this, unless they hated me, they can be honest.
Yeah.
I'm chalking it me not being renewed on to being like a part of the group of people that they couldn't afford to keep, right?
Yeah.
And so like I kind of talked about this on my TikTok last year when I went through that, and my understanding at the time, and I think that this is still relevant, is that during the pandemic, a lot of people were staying home and playing video games and vibing with their friends and like looking for social connection. I think like every one of us in this room spent probably a lot of time at their computer during
Yes.
you know
Animal
during
Crossing
the
specifically.
pandemic.
Animal Crossing, yeah.
I played a lot of different social
Yeah.
games with people because I still like craved human connection.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I mean, I'm sure there was a massive spike in sales.
Yeah.
And people overhired, I'm sure, in order to create larger projects. And of course, when we go back to going back to work after like, you know, the shutdown's done, I'm sure those sales numbers also don't, you know, reflect to what they projected. So sometimes it's due to sales. Sometimes it's due to the pandemic. I mean, even back to sales, like even now, I'm sure a lot of what happens is, you know, you put out a product, the product doesn't hit your projected profit. And then what do you do with the people, you know? And so I kind of also made this rationalization in my brain recently of also when a project is over, what do you do with that staff if you don't have another game lined up? And one of my students is, I believe, a carpenter. No, he's a landscaper. And he says he gets laid off every year during the winter because you can't really landscape when it's snowing.
Exactly.
And he gets his job back, you know, during, you know, the next year when the weather gets nicer. And I kind of was thinking about that recently, and I was like, I almost feel like games are kind of similar to that as well, in the way of like, if a project's over and you're not working on like the live operations team or the day zero patch team, like what do you do? And I guess, yeah, you kind of just have to let people go in some scenarios. So I don't know. There's of course like different reasons. I've never been in the position where I've had to lay someone off or, you know, been high enough in a company where like I know the insider information about that. But my general consensus from like my network and, you know, a lot of the people that like I follow or connected to on LinkedIn who are in like C-suite level positions, you know, like it is really difficult to navigate. Or like even sometimes there's studios that get bought up by larger companies and they get closed down as development studios. So there's different moving parts to this, and there's always going to be different reasons. And I feel bad for anyone who's ever been laid off. It really does suck. It really does suck.
It
so,
sucks. Yeah. Do you think
yeah,
maybe
I wish I could give you a better answer that was more definitive, but
I might have
can't really.
something to add on this if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe because for us, like I'm talking my old job, you know, a lot of Bunzo lore right now. No, I'm joking, but a big part of the massive layoff that we did is because people didn't want to get back to the office. You know, there was a lot of like, we thought COVID like put us in a situation where it would change how we worked today. It kind of did, but at the same time, there was like an idea of like putting people back to the office, and that created a lot of tensions, and it ended up creating a lot of layoffs because of that. Do you think that might have been one of the
Maybe.
reason of the
Yeah,
layoffs?
I think that's totally possible. I've never been in that position, but I feel like I have heard of like companies putting in a back to office mandate and that causing tension, like you mentioned. That could totally be part of it. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, that's probably also a good thing to consider.
Yeah.
I think, like, from my perspective, a thing that I've always just wondered is, and why we feel so bad is because, you know, these people obviously have a ton of talent that get brought in, and then they get asked to work on a project that a lot of people, at least from the gaming public, seem to not have a ton of faith in. And it's just really tough. Like, like Concord, right? It seemed like that was just not a game that people wanted right now.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad because the whole team gets laid off, and it's this whole cycle of wondering like how it came to this point. And that's, I think, the toughest part, because they're just developing the game. They're just making the game that they were asked to make. And it makes me wonder who is in charge of making these decisions of games that maybe people weren't really asking for at that time. We unfortunately had to talk about multiverses, the Super Smash Brothers like game with Warner Brothers, where, it just didn't seem like it was connecting. And it's always just really tough. And we feel really bad about that point. And it just makes us wonder, like, if it feels like top down. So I guess from like the conversation we're having, it's obviously all dependent on the studio you're with and their faith in the project.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, you guys are already correct to say that like it's rarely ever the development teams.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't place blame on them. Like you said, like a lot of the time they're just ICs, they're just individual contributors to the project. And they have things to do Monday to Friday, and they get told what to do at the end of the day. Like, of course, like you have a level of creative freedom, of course. But I mean, like in any job, you can come up with an idea, but it's dependent on, maybe it's your senior or your lead or a principal or, like whatever it is. There's a hierarchy of how a lot of these decision-making choices end up and how it works, right? So I don't know. It depends on the company. It depends on the size of your team. It depends on, if you're a solo independent company or if you're part of, a massive chain of other studios. Like, it's really hard to compare and really pinpoint what the issue is, I think. Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to the next question. I was wondering, what's something gamers should know about game development that we aren't fully aware of? Like, if you have some example or something.
Yeah, is there something we don't know?
I kind of feel like my answer to that is like what we were just talking about.
Of course.
I feel like, I'm a gamer outside of working on games. And so I see how people review games or like, Reddit threads about games. And as someone who's a consumer of games, but also a creator of games, like, I kind of see both sides of things, right? I feel like a lot of people place blame on a studio and their effort and their work, but you don't know if the studio was like hired by a different studio to do a thing, right? And was that communication good and fine and well? You don't know if like 80% of the people on this project advocated for the version that the fans were asking for, and the other 20% overruled, right? And so I think when reviewing games, yes, it is important to be critical, but also I don't think it should ever get to the point where you are finding people who worked on a project, which happens, finding people who worked on a project that you're upset about and harass them. That is completely inappropriate and happens all the time.
That is absolutely ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But,
got
like,
warned about that when I
yeah.
joined games.
Just to add something, like, we had, like, I'm gonna talk about the new Silent Hill 2 game that just came out. Like, people don't
Okay.
know, but behavior worked on the game. They did a lot of environmental work on it.
I didn't know that behavior worked on Silent Hill 2.
Yeah. But we didn't.
What?
Nobody knew because it's based in Montreal.
Yep.
I have my plugs to know that they worked on it.
Mhm.
We've seen some stuff, to prove that they worked on it, but nobody knows. It's not only the company that is on the box art that worked on it. There's a lot more companies that helps with
Yep.
art design, environmental design. So
Yeah, it's called outsourcing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So especially, like, since they've already worked on the Silent Hill 2 collab with Dead by Daylight, so for them it was like easy work in a way, because
Yeah.
they've worked with the IP and stuff. So yeah, it's just nobody knows, but like a lot of companies that we don't know works on other like, it's like Monolith with Breath of the Wild and Nintendo. Like, Monolith is one of the prime example of why Breath of the Wild is so good, because they've done the entire map. That's the guys that did it. So, and they've done like a lot of work on pretty much every AAA Nintendo game, but they're not really getting credited because, like, Nintendo, like, they just don't like to put the people that worked on their box art. But like, a lot of people works on a lot of stuff. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We just suspect that, oh, it's Bluebird team that worked on it. I didn't like it, fuck Bluebird team. No, it's not how it works. It's other people in a way. So sorry, I'm gonna let you
Well researched.
Yeah.
You guys get it. You guys get it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, sometimes we feel like we've been around it so often that we feel like we know, but there are so many layers that even in this conversation, I feel like I've learned so much that it's
Yeah.
not even just specifically about making games that make it worthwhile to be in. It's like the whole work-life balance, the whole thing with the collaboration, right? That's even then, like, there's so much still that we've peeled back that we still don't know, even though we've been speaking for like
Yeah.
whatever 45 minutes,
45
right?
minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're human after all. Like, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
the moral of the story, like, you have a life. You're not a robot. Like, you're someone. like some people, I think they disconnect themselves from the fact that people are making game are people. Like,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have lives.
That's
they have
really important
feelings.
to remember.
Yeah. Like, they are proud of what they're doing, or they might not be proud of what they're doing. They might be like, it depends. They're human.
Everyone's
So-
got
Yeah.
a job, right?
Uh,
But let's end on something fun. Something fun and personal. What are some of the games you're looking forward to the rest of the year? What are you playing? I always ask Ben at the beginning of the
Yeah.
pod what he's playing. So what are you playing, and what are some games you're looking forward to for the rest of the year from a
Okay.
gaming perspective?
So this is so full circle, perfect to end on of us. So as you were saying at the beginning of the pod, I love older games because that's what I grew up with. And I'm so glad you brought up Silent Hill 2 Remake because I really, really liked it. And
It's
I'm on
amazing.
the
Ooh.
team of, I think we should be modernizing games that are like old. I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
agreed.
I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
agreed.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
makes it more accessible. So in that same breath, I'm
Mm.
really excited about the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake
Oh,
coming out in
yeah.
Oh,
August.
Delta. Yeah.
I am
looks good.
so excited.
It sucks that Kojima is not working on it, though. I'm gonna be saying it, like, but still, I know Juice is not the biggest fan of Kojima, but
But
throw me under
it's
the bus.
so
Still cool.
perfect because it's so funny. I don't know how this ended up working this way. My partner is a few years older than me, but he's an only child, and he got exposed to gaming like when he was in his teens. So like he doesn't know about like he's never played like Silent Hill or Clock Tower
Yeah.
or Metal Gear Solid or whatever.
Yeah.
So when we
Ben's
start
a big
dating,
Clock Tower guy.
yeah, I love Clock Tower.
it's so good.
Good.
It's so good.
So good.
So like he doesn't know about these games, you know, like he's heard of them, but he's never played them.
Yeah.
He never would have played them unless I was like, you have to play this thing.
Yeah.
I got him to play Silent Hill a little while ago, like a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and he was like, this is too old.
Nah,
and he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. Like he's
do
a-
not
he's a
disrespect
modern
Silent
gaming
Hill like
boy.
this. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
He's a modern gaming boy.
Yeah.
So like I understand that there is like a learning curve of like operating older controls because they're far less intuitive.
Yeah,
far
of
less
course.
intuitive.
Silent Hill 1 is a pain in the ass to navigate.
Yeah.
Like it's very
So-
hard, but it's part of the game. But I understand completely.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so Silent Hill 1 is what he played. We emulated it.
Ugh,
And
rough.
he was like, can't play this. It's like really
Yeah.
hard. And I was like, I get really hurt because I'm like, it's good. I
That's
promise.
good.
You just gotta like brave through it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
it's part of
And
the
then we
game
were gonna
design
play-
actually. Like it's part of what makes Silent Hill
part
so
of the
good because
game.
it's hard to control. It's hard to navigate, so it's scary in a
Yeah.
way. Like it makes a whatever.
Absolutely. So when they announced they were like remaking or like the
Yeah.
remake of Silent Hill 2, I was so excited because we were gonna play Silent Hill 1 and 2
Mm.
like emulated, but they are modernizing the second one, which is great because it's the storyline that's like separate from.
Yeah, it's
main
on its
storyline,
own.
right? It's like
you know,
it's
it's
on its
really on
own.
its own. Yeah.
And so they modernized it. He played it. He loved it, and it was like
So
perfectly
good.
modernized for
Yeah.
him because this is like 2020's control, so
Mm.
like it's easy for him to understand. And so he got to enjoy a story
Yeah.
that I enjoyed at a really, really young age in a modern, accessible format. And I've been trying to get him to play the Metal Gear Solid series.
Eek.
He's raged about one. He can't do it, and I
Yeah.
want him to play them consecutively. And so we haven't even gone to Sons of Liberty, which is like one of my favorites
But-
in the series, but also 3. And then they
Yeah.
announced they're remaking 3, so I'm like, I get to make you play the remake, and
Yeah.
this is gonna be great.
Are you playing
So
on
I'm
the
excited about
PS5
three.
or are you playing on the original hardware? Or you emulating?
I have the original games and like the correct PlayStations for them,
Mm.
but we're playing the collection they
Yeah, of course.
released on the 5.
The thing is I know it's not going to change his ideas of the game, but the
Mhm.
problem with the collection is the PS2 controller is like there's a lot of sensors on it. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure sensor on it, and especially Metal Gear Solid 2 utilizes everything that the PS2 controller can do. If you have the Xbox version, it's technically the lesser version because like there's so many things you can't really do because of that.
Well, I hate Microsoft.
Yeah, and so just let you know, if he plays on OG hardware on a CRT, he might enjoy it a little
Yeah.
bit better. But at the
No,
same
that's what
time,
I'm saying.
yeah.
We live in like a shoebox apartment though, so I was like,
Yeah.
at our next place, we gotta get a CRT so
Yeah.
we can like plug in we have all the PlayStations.
yeah,
So I'm like, we gotta get a CRT so you can play these old games
Yeah.
on the original hardware.
Yeah.
But also, it was just fun because when you started playing the Metal Gear Solid collection, I have the original copies
Yeah.
of the games. When you started playing 1 on the collection, I just gave him the actual physical copy
Yeah.
of 1 so you
Like,
can look at it. Because
you
there's
look
like
at the manual too. It's like, oh, if you need some help, manual.
yeah, but it's really funny because the manual for the collection's
Yeah.
digital on
Yeah.
PlayStation 5, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But you need the manual to play the game.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you
absolutely.
don't you can't play the game without having the physical copy
Mm.
because I love Kojima so much. Anyway,
So good.
you have
so
to
good.
actually look at like
It's
the
the
cover
best.
to figure
Yeah.
out like certain codecs and
Yeah.
stuff. So I just gave him the physical copy of the game and I was like, you're gonna need this when you play this. Just imagine you're playing this version. You know, so
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
I got
it's all
really
good.
excited.
It's all good. No worries.
Any other games you're looking forward to, or is it just Metal Gear? You need Metal
Okay.
Gear, and that'll do it.
Please
Okay,
say
this
Breath of,
is like a
please
hot-
say
this is
like
a hot take.
60 FPS Breath of the Wild, please. I need it. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
This is a hot take. I haven't played any of the new Legend of Zelda games.
Oh my god. I'm out. No, I'm going out. I'm going home, bro. It's over. I'm joking.
I love Ocarina of Time.
It's
It's
good.
my favorite one.
It's all right.
But to be fair, I haven't played like any of the modern ones. I think the newest one I ever played was Phantom Hourglass is like the C one, right?
Yeah, on the DS.
Yes, was the
DS, yeah,
newest one that I've ever played.
I-
That was the newest one.
Honestly, I enjoy it, but I know a lot of people don't like it. I grew up with it, so it's for me. It's,
No, I grew up with it
yeah.
too. I think like also for me, this is the controversial thing I was gonna say. I hate spending money on games.
Oof.
Which is
They're
like
expensive these days, right? So-
crazy thing to
Yeah.
say because
It's
I'm
like
a
a
game
pendant.
developer.
This is the
Yeah, love it.
the
That's
guy
super
from
cool.
Phantom Hourglass.
Is that
yeah.
just Phantom Hourglass?
Yeah, it's just Phantom Hourglass. It's like the
That's
hardcover.
awesome.
So cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like I can't when I sit at my desk all day, I don't want to play games.
Oh, I
And
get
that's-
it. I
okay,
get it. No,
that's
no,
actually-
absolutely.
that's-
It's like you're
That's
on your
also a
screen
negative
all day.
thing
Yeah.
About games is when you work in games, you will find yourself playing games less because you're working on a
course.
game all day.
Of course.
Yeah.
So and also once you become a game developer, you can't really like enjoy games the same way because you become hypercritical of like the analytical side
Mm.
of games. Like you'll notice far more things wrong with the game when you're exposed to like game development, because that's what you do all day, right?
Except
like
if you're playing a Kojima game, because he's perfect.
perfect.
You know,
it's
it's
perfect
perfect.
and wonderful.
Yeah.
I have a Metal Gear Solid tattoo back here somewhere.
Nice.
Where is it? Can you see it?
I,
Probably not.
no, I can't see. I see the
No, I
Spirited
don't know.
Away one. It's really cool, but
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's on here somewhere.
it's not here, yeah. Oh, Kojima is. I just love him.
Oh, I found it. You can't
found
really
it.
see it. The fuck?
Oh yeah,
It's right
the
there.
Oh,
wolf.
yeah,
the
that's
wolf.
sick.
Wolf. That's cool. That's really cool.
Ugh.
So, what I would recommend is playing Breath of the Wild. Thank you. Really good. But
know.
play on the Switch too, cause there's a
I hear
patch,
you.
and
I
it's
hear you.
60 FPS, 4K, whatever. Just saying, you know, in the air.
I'm in my 2-week Minecraft phase right now.
Oh
This is
yeah,
so
it's
real,
every
so-
year, you know. There's a 2-week
Yeah,
Minecraft
you gotta
phase.
ask me again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll send you a message like Breath of the Wild. That's it.
Did you play Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Well, I think that is going to do it for all of our questions. We want to thank you, G, so much for doing this with
Yes.
us. We appreciate you taking the time, letting us know about game development,
Yeah.
and just having this talk with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.
Yeah, it was fun.
We
It
hope
was.
got to do something again in the future, hopefully,
Yeah,
as long
yeah.
as you're good with that.
Yeah,
So-
I'm totally into that.
Maybe we'll talk more Kojima and how much I don't like him. Just
You know,
kidding, just kidding.
I-
It's Jeff Keighley.
It's Jeff Keighley and
I don't
Kojima,
Like.
he
It's- I
doesn't
like
like, yeah.
Kojima. It's Jeff Keighley. I don't like.
Uh,
But thanks so much for being here with us. We hope that we get to speak again soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye,
See ya, everybody.
everyone.
Bye.